Hello everyone. This Independence Day we are back again with an interesting event. Our today's guest is two startup founders. On the one hand, we have Mr. Akshat Prakash, who is the founder of Slingshot, and on the other hand, we have Mr. Ayush Singh. Akshat Prakash is the founder of Slingshot. Slingshot is a startup that helps the students to get placed in Y Combinator, Tech Starters, Stanford, and MIT. Ayush Singh is a data scientist, and also he's currently studying in class 9. Also, he's a young entrepreneur. So we are actually looking forward to get started to this session. Welcome, Ayush and Akshat.
Thank you, Mehak.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks, Mehak. Thanks the rest of the team of Geeks for having me. Hopefully, me and Ayush can have an interesting Q&A for you all, and we can all get to learn something.
Sure. Thanks again for having me over here. Hopefully, the viewers of whoever is watching learn a lot from this session. Hope so. So, should we get started, Akshat?
Yeah, hit the button.
Okay, sure. So, um, directly starting with the questions, or maybe starting off with introductions.
I think maybe you can introduce yourself. I can do the same, and then we can start. And that'll be
Sure. So this is Ayush, and this is Ayush. I have a pronunciation Ayush. It's not the Ayush Singh, and currently I'm studying class 10, and I'm currently working as a data scientist at Replate, which is a media production company, and running Anton, and recently started another venture, which is Schema, which we have pitched for, and hopefully will make it public. And worked as MLOps engineer at ZenML, data scientist at Artifact through Slingshot. So big thanks to Akshat on that. Yeah, that's pretty much it about me.
awesome. Yeah, I might not have such a scary intro for a 10th grader. In fact, I think Ayush and I have 10 years in between us. But I'm Akshat. I go by Ak. I graduated out of Carnegie Mellon with a degree in computer science and machine learning. For those of you who know, it's a top MLAI school. Did a lot of research in algorithms. My first job was at Apple's AIMO org, where I worked in Siri. Worked at Microsoft for a bit as well. And as Mehak and Ayush mentioned, I started Slingshot. Slingshot is very close to my heart. It's probably very relevant to today's session that we're having as well. What we do is similar to how cricket scouting is done, or basketball scouting is done, or football scouting is done all over the world, where we really try to find very high ambitious, high achieving teenager in sports. We created a company that could do the same for teenagers gifted in the areas of computer science and math. So we try to scout these 14 to 18-year-olds just like Ayush. And proudly enough, we've found 20,000 of such teenagers. So you won't believe it. There's actually 20,000 teenagers on the planet right now who can code as well as anybody else that you'll see around. And we help them land paid gigs as soon as they're 14 or 15 out of startups, out of Y Combinator, Techstars. So yeah, that's what we do. Having a lot of fun with it. I tinker around with a lot of AI stuff on the side as well. And but education, of course, will always be my first and true love. So hopefully I can say some things that make sense today, and we can have a good discussion, Ayush.
Sure. So let's start with the set of questions which we have. So it's just the conversation. Okay. So basically, the usually when I just when I upload some video, or maybe in recently Ishan's video as well, or maybe some other videos, I saw a set of comments that kids should not learn to code, or maybe on LinkedIn it's also good that kids should not learn to code. But the question
Yeah.
arises that is coding is really essential skill for young generation, or maybe it can be taken as side by side. So what do you think on this part?
Yeah, that's I think a great question. Um, I know there has been a lot of public negativity around learning how to code young enough. I think the fact that I said a 14-year-old coding at a Y Combinator startup can get me canceled. But I think I would like to offer a different perspective. I understand that it's very easy for maybe a post to go viral or a newspaper to say something and everybody on the face value take a lot of negativity from it. It was very important to dig into the depths of what's actually going on. Coding, stopping kids from learning to code or discouraging kids from learning to code is for some students similar to saying, hey, don't go out and play soccer, uh, or don't go out and do your math in school. Now, if I say things like these, people will be like, how can you not? They're kids. They're supposed to do math. They're supposed to go play soccer. I think what you're forgetting is that maybe you're coming from a status quo or a mode of thinking that has been mostly prevalent up till now. And perhaps the perspective here to create is for some students like me and Ayush, and well, I'm 24 now. I can't really consider myself a teenager anymore. But me growing up, or Ayush right now, coding is exactly the kind of fun for us as it
Yeah.
is for somebody who wants to play soccer. It's just one of those other things, or it's as cool or as important for us to do as our math lessons. So, hopefully that will build some perspective into what at least coding means for people or kids who really want to take it up. It's genuinely very exciting once you get past your print hello world. The things you can end up doing, I would almost from a biased perspective say, are way cooler than just being able to kick a soccer ball a million times. I mean, all due respect to any kind of person who plays sports, I'm not trying to take a dunk on them, but like that's what coding really is to highly ambitious teenagers, to teenagers who love math, and to teenagers who like creating stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and I think when you come to the importance aspect of it, is how important is really coding. Well, how important is it for you to learn English today or Hindi today if you're from India, or how important is it for you to learn history, or how important is it for you to learn math? I think our base curriculum anywhere across the world was initially created with the intention of making high school graduates very good or decently good problem solvers and being able to communicate those ideas. And that's why you might see standardized exams like the SAT when you're trying to get into CMU or MIT. Those specifically, I mean, SATs are not that hard if you're if you're doing schooling in India or like in Russia and other places. But I think the sentiment behind the SAT is really to check how good you can be in your communication and the expression of your problem solving skills. So I think that's why high school education was really prepared at a fundamental sense. And all these subjects that you see across the board, wherever you live, I think they're all in a sense geared towards, if it's a good education system, that is geared towards optimizing for these two things. Now, computer science is a new subject, really, is the best of both worlds of these two facets,
Yeah.
which education has been optimizing for a long time, both problem solving and both communication of ideas. I think coding is very confused with somebody sitting and hacking or getting a job at Google. I would say even if you don't want to do anything with math, heck, you want to be a historian at the end of the day, everybody at a high school should know how to think about problems, how to frame problems and solutions, how to explain their solutions to anybody else, and how to take a problem and break it down into smaller problems and solve them. And this is a skill that computer science lends to people very efficiently. Like, it really gets you in the knack of being able to communicate yourself in a very structured, broken down manner, right? I Although I speak decent English now, I grew up in India myself, and I wasn't. I often had the problem of just picking out certain words or being able to explain my ideas well as a high schooler. I think as I picked up computer science, that naturally improved by itself. So I mean, I think I can learn. I can tell you from personal experiences, it genuinely does that for you. So if you don't want to be able to, or say, you find enough avenues to optimize for becoming a very good problem solver and a very good communicator of the solutions, then you can tell me that, hey, I don't need to learn coding. But if you need an efficient way to get better at these two things, if you need a smart way to get better at these things, and also set up a potentially secure and good future where you could start startups as early as 14 and 15 like Ayush, or get jobs like that are at cool places, then coding and programming and computer science more generally is a very good field to at least invest in. I think everybody should take one coding course and then not do it if they don't like it afterwards. But it's just one of those things that, yeah, you have to learn English once in your life. You can't do without it, right? And that's what
Yeah.
coding is for the future.
Sure. I think, yeah, definitely. I agree with all of the points over here, which is mostly coding is like activity, like other activities which you do, like playing guitar, sitting at home. You just sit at home and sort of sit on a computer screen and do something, and you sit on guitar and you play that. So both are done by sitting. So I don't think that there's something. People usually tell that kids should not learn to code. They should go out and play. They should do some other hobby, but coding is type of a hobby for the students as of now.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I have also heard on very from very big influencers on LinkedIn that saying uh, आप अपने बच्चे को मत पढ़ाओ, वो कॉलेज में जाएंगे तो पढ़ लेंगे, something like that. So I think it's if a parents forces a particular student, then I think then that's not good. Of course they should get students explored or get aware about that, but not just forced to learn it, right? So I think that's a different perspective. But coming to this, if a student is interested, many of the parents even restrict to students कि board exam का तैयारी करो and then आगे जाना. So I think that that's also what I see as of now. But yeah, I definitely agree to most of the points out here. And yeah, so I think in summary, I would say in of all these conversation is like other activity you do. It helps you to be a better problem solver or critical thinker. Of course, it improves your communication. मेरा भी English उतना अच्छा नहीं था अभी जितना है. And of course, I agree on that point. And most of the points, problem solving, framing, and thinking, presenting solution, and other things. So I really think that computer science really helps. So yeah, enough about बच्चे को सीखना चाहिए या नहीं. Now let's come to the next point. Is now even lots of people have a question कि uh, are we living in a way in a generation where we are developing technology, or technology is changing the way we live, right? It's a very strong statement, because a very controversial statement as well. If you think that some people will say that we are living in a or era where we are developing technology, but there is different, but technology is changing the way we live. So first of all, starting off, that's a question. But uh, going off with the what is technology? That's the uh, first point to be cleared, and then we can go to the.
Yeah, I think the definition of technology goes way back when we started as cave hunters, actually. I would define technology really from the first spark humans got that they could use or leverage the fact that they had the ability to think and use outside inanimate objects to be able to mold them in certain ways to perform certain actions, either repetitive or too hard, which could kind of make their lives easier. So as far as using a stick to whack out a mango from the top of the tree, as soon as we learned how to do that, I think we had already on set for ourselves the progression of technology. Um, and yeah, I think it reminds me of that very comical definition in Three Idiots that Rancho brings up. It was like technology is anything really that simplifies the way we live.
Yeah.
Maybe for better or worse. That's to be seen. I think that is, I mean, we can see both good and bad effects of technology. But definitely it simplifies what we're trying to do, and definitely accelerates the rate of development across any kind of field. Um,
Correct.
so that's what's technology for me. I think the second part of the question was, is technology controlling us today, or we are controlling technology? I think, like I said, again, going back to the cave hunter example, or as soon as we learned how to make tools, you can think about, we were hunter gatherers, we used to hunt, and then we figured out how to do agriculture. We came up with tools that helped us do agriculture. And so our way of living changed from just being hunter gatherers to being, I guess, more domestic animals, living in mud houses, making pots and pans to cook food, and then staying more in one place. So it's not a new phenomena by any means. As far as tools and technology have been invented, they have changed our lives, again, for the better and worse. Um, and so, it's a very deep question, but I think the answer is very obvious. As more technology progresses, the more impact it will have on lives. Um, and I think, though, there's one caveat here, is we are in a perhaps time in the history of mankind where a lot of future progress is going to be driven by technology, unlike and technology more in the classical sense of computers and coding and what people might think of as first technology, and it's genuinely going to be dictated by people who can understand, talk, and do technology. And what I do see is, going into the future, people who do understand this art more and more do have the ability to, or do have a higher leverage to change how we live versus those that do not. And that goes back to the first question. Well, if you want to be part of mankind's progress and have a say in that, it's very important for you to understand at minimum how technology works, even if you don't become a computer scientist or coding. Otherwise, it's quite probable that you will go along with the tide that's being created by those who know technology. And that's why it's also scary enough, because you need very responsible people who are leading the progression of mankind through technology, because you can have good people leading it, or you can have not so good people leading it. That's why I think there's a good push in getting everyone involved in computer science, no matter where you're from, or color of your skin, who you are. It doesn't matter. Like, everybody should be part of technology, and I think that's a worldwide phenomena that we're seeing today, which is increasingly important. So yeah, that's my genuine thoughts on that question. I don't know if you have follow-ups or additional thoughts on that.
And definitely, I think technology is just about how we simplifies the problem. The Three Idiots one, I really like the definition. And in the technology, मैंने एक book पढ़ा था. I read a book with 0 to 1, and that is, technology is not just about computers, machines, and etc. It's about how you are leveraging a problem, how you're leveraging something to solve a particular problem in a very simple way. And I studied about several things, but that can be shared later on. But yeah, I agree on those points.
Awesome.
So now on this is, अब बहुत बहुत सारे people ask me, I'm using English, okay, so that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So lots of people ask कि क्यों करनी चाहिए, why to do coding, is it ensures your brighter future, because most of the people ask this, or ensures your brighter future, or it's just a skill to be incorporated early. So what is the benefit of it? And
Yeah, I think I can explain this in two schools of thought. I've grown up in India, so I understand, and I've lived several years in the US now as well, so I understand both different contexts and perhaps different schools of thought. So let me try to answer this through both schools of thoughts that I've seen. So there's a school of thought that thinks that if you learn how to code, and if you do more math, you will get better paying jobs.
yeah,
That's a fact.
yeah,
And that's an industrial fact, and that's it's kind of driven by how industry or any industry is progressing today. There's a high demand for people who understand technology across all segments. Whether you talk about core computer science, whether you talk about your Google like companies, startups, whether you talk about even working in the government or anything else, there's a high demand for those who understand technology. And it's actually comes from the basic economics of when there's a low supply of something, then the value of that increases if it's high demand, right? And that's why computer scientists or those who understand math or relevant fields of physics, they end up getting highly paid even after college, or they don't even need to wait to college until as of now, thanks to many things that have been going on in the world. And then the fact that technology is one of the things that is truly democratizable, right? Like, unlike learning how to swing a bat or being good at music, you can go on YouTube today or Geeks for Geeks and learn how to code really well. So it's truly democratized. But the point is that if you're going from the school of thought that, hey, if I learn how to code and learn how to program, I will get a high paying job, the probability of that is high, given how industry is moving today and the basic laws of economics. However, I have removed myself from that school of thought because maybe the environment around me when I was growing up was like that, and that is maybe the initial motivation that pushed me to be like, oh, okay, interesting. Everybody, my parents, everybody else was really talking about computer science and how computer scientists make bank. Maybe that was my initial push into the field. But I quickly realized things that we've been talking about was I really fell in love with the idea of being able to solve problems quickly, efficiently, and communicate those solutions elegantly to other people. I really fell in love with being able to come up with an idea and thinking about what that would mean as a product. And so there's this other school of thought that also believes that, hey, beyond the money that you will make, again, going back to the previous question, with computer science, you will have, quote unquote, a superpower to be able to solve some of the most pressing problems that faces our generation today. And I mean, it really goes to your reason for living. If you want to make a bunch of money and die, that's fine. Have a good life. If you also additionally really want to affect change in the world and make sure that even after you're gone, you've left behind something for the world to use, computer science in either case is a good thing to learn. So both schools of thoughts, no matter how you're approaching it, whether more personally or more altruistically, that's two reasons to get into computer science as soon as you can learn how to do math.
Interesting. I also started, I think, in my area, there was not much of buzz around coding. My father was from business, and none of them were in CS background. So I think I started it. I think I was scrolling through YouTube, and then saw a video, and then from there I thought, okay, from this, like I was always thought, ki, how all of things are working on internet, because we used to search on Google lots of things. So I think when you search something and think about ye kaise ho raha hai, how is this possible even? So I think that curiosity got me into this, and definitely it really helps even the early stage students to actually be ready for future. And even you that's one concern, but also gives you a tool to actually solve some crucial problems in today's era. So I think definitely makes sense. Yeah. So now we have the so as you stated previously that long time back, our curriculum is made to make our high schoolers much more better problem solver, which includes math, science, etc. So do you think that
Well, it's
CS?
supposed to. It's
Yeah.
supposed to. I don't know if it does. But anyways, go
It's
ahead.
oh, it's supposed to. Yeah, correct. That's a good term to use. It's supposed to. But yeah. So, do you think that technology will be added to in the next 10 to 20 years? Technology will be added to it, and why it is important to be added like this?
Yeah, so I might have, even though I'm biased towards technology and computer science, I think education is one such thing where we need to be even more careful with the use of technology. I understand that today technology has done wonders for education already. You look at the likes of Baiju's has become the largest. I would call them the Google for ed tech today, right? And India and other countries are going to follow suit in implementing more technology towards education reform, making education more accessible and such. And that has had great impact. I was just speaking to another startup the other day where they want to do education across all Indian languages, and that's huge because I think a lot of education has come out of a kind of colonial past. A lot of the education today, as it exists on the internet, is primarily in English. A lot of the good education is primarily in English, and I'm talking about particularly STEM because I have a better idea of STEM. Um, and so there's a push of how do we democratize access to such education, and technology and natural language can play a crucial role in such things. But when it actually comes to the idea of being able to teach someone how to think, or for someone learning, I think nothing can really take away from the in-person experience that a classroom or school can afford. I'm a big believer that the relevance of college will decrease in the coming years. And I say that because going in college, I see a decreased relevance or a decreased connect between professor and student. And, when you get into college, you're more like, yeah, I just want to pass my classes and get a good job. And that connect is somewhere missing. But I think that connect is much more true, or majority is much more true when you're in high school, and that actually enables a lot of good transfer of knowledge and just the act of being able to learn something, which I think if you completely eliminate, it could have adverse effects into how the future generations learn. I do think, in-person education, having good teachers is always going to be super, super important because they shape more than one things than just your knowledge, your values, how you behave, how you communicate. So having good, responsible teachers is going to be a must. You can't do away with that. That said, there will come a point where after 12th grade, when a student has, from a good education system, inculcated good ideas of how to become a good problem solver and how to communicate effectively, the relevance of college might decrease. And that's where a lot more technology can come into play to democratize access to jobs or further learning, because colleges have diminishing returns and will have diminishing returns over the years. Of course, I say this, I might sit on a chair and be like, I say this as I'm from Carnegie Mellon, but I genuinely think that right now colleges are a brand play. They help you get into a community of similarly achieving students, get your foot in the door. But there have been so many other avenues that technology has created in the recent past for you to achieve those two same things. So that's kind of my opinion of how education and technology will progress. It's kind of going to go like this and meet somewhere post 12th grade. But let's see, I might be wrong. That's what I guess a lot of people say. Similar people who have started similar companies to Slingshot or even otherwise, but only time will tell. Ayush, I think you're on mute.
Definitely, I think college can be replaceable in near future, because you see there are teenagers who are doing much more better before college as well. And even I have got lots of if you see the statistics of India, there are lots of engineers who are still not eligible for any job which they can do, which means college is just providing a degree. But what you pay college around 10 lakhs rupees, but what if you pay around 1 lakhs rupees or maybe some thousands rupees for learning a particular skill, and you try to monetize that skill? That will give you a job, and college is not ensuring any sort of job. So at that time, college just giving degree, and slowly the mentality can be changed, hopefully. And but still, I believe that a college, and if a good college is required, because to socialize yourself, it does not only teaches you one thing, it teaches you several things: socialization, networking, communication, and etc. So I definitely think that there should be some way. And
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you, Ayush. There, like nothing can take away from those aspects. The only thing I guess I mentioned, maybe my opinion is that technology and new companies have created enough room for you to be post high school and do the same things. How to network, get into a group of very smart people, very ambitious people. You'll see organizations like on deck, link, and on deck might be an out there example for even more high achieving individuals or ambitious individuals. But even groups or social networks like LinkedIn, Lunch Club, there is a huge push on enabling you to connect with similar pools without having to pay maybe even potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars towards a college degree. So the same things that college teaches you, or that you probably go to college for, technology has created alternate avenues for them, which, yeah, you could still go to college, but it's important to take advantage of such avenues as well. And maybe over time, such avenues can potentially replace a lot of the things that college does for you.
yeah,
But learning how to socialize and networking is actually even more important than probably learning how to code. Like,
yeah, correct,
the people you
correct,
know
definitely.
are is your actual currency today. Um,
Yep, yep. Good. So अब मेरे कोई बहुत I recently got a call from auntie. Let's take an example. There was a aunt which called me up from Mumbai. She asked that at which age I should tell my child to start or introduce them coding. So
yeah,
at which appropriate age? From my perspective, what I think, there's no such, of course, there's such age, but I think if a student is getting interested in that, get them in that. It's not about there is a specific age to be decided. It's just interested, get them, right? If they're not, then don't get. Even they are 15, 16, if they're not interested, don't get them.
yeah,
But if they are, then you just, they will explore, because technology is even a 40, fourth, a baby of four age or five age know how to scroll YouTube reels and
yeah,
listen songs. I think definitely that technology perspective will get them aware.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, it, if you're the parents who give your child a a iPad or a tablet as soon as they're 4 or 5, I mean, think about it, and they start using YouTube and such. What's preventing you from learning them to actually do constructive stuff as well on the same kind of instruments, right? Maybe that's just some perspective. In my opinion, you can learn to start coding as soon as you learn how to do math, and maybe that's too broad of a statement, but as soon as you know the concept of numbers, how to add numbers, how to subtract numbers, how to do any kind of operations with numbers, you can start your journey with computer science. I was uh, just randomly, I've been visiting India. I'm still in India right now, so I had a chance to see my nephew after a long time, and he's decently good at math. So I was like, hey, math, I can teach you how to, maybe start messing around with Python. And I just opened the terminal, um, started putting in some numbers, some basic operations, some print statements. Within 2 days, he had already learned how to do for loops, if statements, and he's around 10, right? And he had no idea of the world of programming before. This was just sitting with me in 2 days. It just goes to show that if you start to learn math, it's very intuitive to actually pick up programming because they're very similar concepts. It's almost just writing math in a different language. Um, so I think that's an eligible age enough.
Yeah.
And I think the younger you learn how to code, the more privileged you will be growing up, and that's very true. I mean, look at Ayush, right? If maybe I had started to learn to code as early as he did, I would have been doing the things at 14 and 15, which I'm doing things at maybe 23, 24 now, which isn't too bad. But think about what kind of things that Ayush will be doing when he's 23 and 24, right? He's just had a huge advantage over anybody else, and that's not anything magical, right? He's not like eaten a certain kind of cereal. He's not had a magician come to him and wave a certain wand on him. He just started to learn how to code a little earlier, and the great thing is that when you're young enough, you can learn things quickly. I'm sure you're all aware of that. New concepts you can pick up way more easily when you're young. Uh, then when you get when you start to get older and older, I think 25 is the age when you start to not be great at picking up new things, right? So the younger you can pick up coding, the better it is for you, because the faster you'll pick it up, and the more exponential advantage you'll have growing up, the more opportunities will open up for you. Like, we genuinely live in a world where Ayush has had internships through Slingshot, through himself even, that even 24, 25 year olds struggle to get. That is just perspective of the advantage of what learning how to code young can do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for the appreciation in that. Your answer contains the appreciation, so I'll take out the part and post it on in my Instagram. That Akshat Prakash found a slingshot appreciated me. so Slingshot is a platform where from where I got my first internship, was high paying internship, which is at Artifact as a data scientist intern. And I have seen that Geeks4Geeks also started to bend down towards coding for school students.
Yep.
So how does the destinations of what the visions of them, where they are going to match them? So can you just tell a little bit about Slingshot and then the destination person?
Sure, sure. So I want you guys to maybe think about, and I'm assuming here an India first audience, and I'm also assuming maybe most people in the world will know who I'm talking about. When you take the case of a person like Sachin Tendulkar, right? What if he had started to learn how to play cricket when he was 20? Let's ask that question, right? What if Sachin Tendulkar had picked up a bat the first time when he was 20? Would he
Then
be Sachin Tendulkar, right?
no.
Would Ronaldo be Ronaldo if he picked up a soccer ball when he was 21? Maybe not, right? Would Kobe Bryant be Kobe Bryant if he picked up a basketball? Would all the young music pop stars be who they were if they picked up the mic at, okay, maybe some of them, yes, but 23, 24, right? If you can ask that question and think about the perspective of who and what we would have missed out in the world, that should scare you, right? Because I'm trying to tell you that the future Sachin Tendulkar or the future Messi of computer science or of startups or the next Elon Musk might be picking up programming at 21. Now if you understand what I said, that should scare you. Well, no, they should have picked it up at 13, 14.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, the examples are pretty clear as well. Like, whether you talk about Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, any of these high achieving, true founders, whether you talk about folks out of India or anywhere in the world, you will see that they picked up at least math or how to program earlier than the majority, right? At least say that. And so, do you want to live in a world where you miss out the next Sachin Tendulkar in cricket? You wouldn't want to live in that world, right? No way.
No.
But you'd be okay with living in a world where we might miss out the next Sachin Tendulkar of computer science, who may actually have built something crazy amazing as Facebook or Google had they had picked up a bat or programming when they were 12 or 13. right? And I think this is exactly what Slingshot and Geeks for Geeks is going for. We, I think, really understand this. We understand this perspective. We understand that even if we're not super successful at bringing coding earlier down and making this a fun sport for teenagers, we know that even if we were 1% successful in our target audience, we would have potentially found the future Zuckerbergs, Musks, Jeff Bezoses, who will go on to build amazing things. And that's why Slingshot and Geeks for Geeks is what they're trying with their new initiative is just so perhaps fulfilling, at least for me, because I can die in peace knowing that I found somebody like Ayush and maybe 20,000 other such kids. With that, I think if I'm gone tomorrow, I would be a happy man going tomorrow because I think I've left something in the world. Of course, these people would have gone on to do amazing things nonetheless. It's cool to know that I potentially was able to do something for them that accelerated their path towards whatever they're going to do in the future. And that's really where I think what the essence of what Slingshot and Geeks for Geeks is going for. Now this isn't something that any other person will understand. It's not something that an investor will understand. It's not something that everybody will understand on face value. But when you really think about it deep enough and you really ask this question that I've asked today, you might start to understand what drives us so much to be investing in teenagers specifically, right? So hopefully you guys have some kind of takeaway from that, and would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Uh, I think whatever Slingshot is doing is building for future, and it's definitely, uh, uh, as you said, that kal jayenge to kuch aur kar jayenge, right? So I think that's something which very few people have in their mindset, that building something for the future, giving something to the world, and recognizing talents in people like me and other teenagers. And because previously, what used to happen is most people neglect, okay, he's in class 10, what he used to know. But now I think Amazon recruiter reached out to me recently and asked for so I'm good with my current one, so I said no. But yeah, so I think that definitely
Look at this
plays.
guy saying no to Amazon when I mean, he's not lying, right? That is what I'm trying to tell you. That there are tons of teenagers like this. They've just picked up programming earlier, and that's what we're going for. But anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Sure. So I think definitely it plays a. I think whatever Geeks for Geeks and Slingshot is, Geeks for Geeks giving education to those students, and Slingshot is taking those educated students and put them in real life and help them to solve several problems. And I have seen that Slingshot is taking several initiatives to actually get students involved in real life problems, which I've seen Hack with ACK, which is an initiative which I've seen, a specialized test which I've seen over there. I definitely think whatever Slingshot is doing on that part is just amazing, giving students real life problems to solve. And yeah, that's the thing which I really amazing to see. Cool. So just we'll go to the next question. Is It's definitely a big question. Many By Steve Jobs. So basically, many years ago, Steve Jobs voiced a provocative idea that is still relevant today: that computer science is a liberal art and something that everybody should learn to some extent. What do you think? What do you think about this in current ideology? What is it applicable? The statement is applicable over here as well.
Yeah, I think Steve Jobs had a knack of predicting the future, and he's done that multiple times. Whether you talk about personal computing, um, or handheld devices, smartphones, or really anything. He definitely voice technology, right? Yeah, though I use Android. I just can't use an Apple phone. I grew up with Android phones. But
Yeah.
anyways, nonetheless, not taking away anything from Steve Jobs, he's had a knack of predicting the future, right? And I think somebody who has been right about things that we have seen unfold, we have to maybe zoom in a little into what he says there of of coding is akin to a liberal art, something that everybody should learn. I think that's been the sentiment of this entire Q&A, that yeah, everybody should learn how to code. If you learn earlier, you're going to have great opportunities sooner. But
Yeah.
no matter who you are, you can learn how to code. Like, you know, you're 50, you're unhappy with your administrative job, you have to copy pages multiple times a day. Learn how to program, automate that stuff, get your job done in 5 minutes, right? I mean, that's a completely random example, but the point really here is everybody can learn how to code. And you know how we talked about, oh, math, coding is just another translation of math. That's true if you want to become a good programmer. If you just want to build stuff, if you just want to tinker around with stuff, maybe build a website, do create something that's semi useful to anybody. You don't even need to know math to do that. Programming is something that is just so intuitive that once you can get into something as simple as like putting a box on a page, you can end up building end-to-end websites one day, right? So I truly believe that anybody can and should learn how to code in more than one ways. It can help towards your career, your general mindset of how you approach problems, both professionally and maybe even personally. Um, and I think Steve Jobs was right on point. It's not just Steve Jobs. I think there's this, I think, famous video by code.org or somebody where there's, Mark Zuckerberg, um, there's many startup founders and tech founders who one after the other they're talking about when they start to program. Bill Gates, like a series of just comment interviews and commentaries of how they're telling you we learned how to program when we were these many years old. We built our first company, our first software when we were these many years old. And it really goes to show that it's not just Steve Jobs, but anybody who's done remarkable things in the space of technology and for the world, who we all may look up to, have similar opinions. So it's definitely something not to take lightly and maybe something to really, really take seriously in our education curriculum going forward. And I already know, at least in the Indian education system, coding is becoming a much more integral part. I think our government has been more proactive and more progressive on education than it has ever before. So it's just great to see that those kinds of efforts. But of course, we have a long way. Great start, but it also comes with a change in mentality from both students and parents. The government and teachers and schools can't do everything.
Makes sense. I definitely agree on your point that CBSE has taken certain steps to actually introduce AI in class 10. So if I open my book of AI and see that they are teaching k-nearest, neighbors, pandas, numpy. It's not in detail, just the upper things. What is definition? Just getting them aware. So I really think that getting into that. But again, our school may not teach that. That's a problem because teachers are not qualified in India. Teachers are considered Bihar ka hi lete hain, I know Bihar. So teachers are considered as the only job profile which is left if you have done some degree or more. So I think definitely on this point I agree, and yeah, it's a good start. It will take a bit of time, and we our students just need awareness. They need to think about ki ab badal raha hai. You can't really rely on government jobs because government jobs are less and they're not really helping the nation to take something further. What is helping is privatization, technology, and maybe other sectors which are helping to make India a better place, a better nation, economically or maybe in diverse perspective. So I think definitely agree on that point. And then yeah, so I think we have covered a lot, and we have got such a positive response from our viewers whoever watched this, and maybe we'll try to take some questions. मेरा तारीफ है कोई नहीं, but yeah. So let's go to there is, yeah, some college students also came, but we'll take yeah, this is a very crucial problem which I want to take up. is many students face a problem of timing of school, time management. How do they manage their time and all? So from what first of all, I really think that in coming years, school will be hybrid model. You can go for 2 or 3 days, and you can do self study by your own. That's what my mind says. To be it, it should be a hybrid model. I should there shouldn't be like 75% criteria. Otherwise, you in India loses great amount of talent by because of that. But time management is, for example, just like you take out some time to play, there can be some time to take out for your other skills like coding and all. So I think definitely on that perspective it can be managed if you really have some sort of, अगर अंदर से आता है कुछ करने का, then अपने आप time बन जाता है किसी चीज के लिए. So I definitely think that from my perspective, it's just you need to work a longer time. Uh, for example, you spend some time in school and then you come back, just like you take out some time to play, take out some time to do whatever you want, and yeah, that's how I used to.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that is a good question. Maybe we both can take one. He
Sure.
One guy is 24 years old, which didn't got ML job. He's a fresher, but at the same time, I think yeah. So I think the question is by Aditya. Like उनको job नहीं मिला. 34 years के हैं and they didn't got the job. So what's your thing? Like why Indian youths are lacking? Jobs are available, but why they are not getting that?
Yeah, first of all, you should send your resume to me. If you're interested in ML, if you're an ML scientist, I'm always looking for those folks. So Aditya, don't worry. Great that you asked the question. Send me across your resume. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Why job nahi mila? Well, I mean, difficult to answer. Don't know. In the certain circumstance you applied, which companies you applied to, and such. There's so many factors of not being able to get a job. Getting a job is a you have to consider it a 1% game versus the amount of applications you send in. Don't expect to get 1% more than 1% responses, or positive or negative. And when you think about it that way, you should know that if you're seriously looking for a job, applying day in, day out is the rule. Like if that's what you're optimizing for. Because if you assume a 1% rule, then you're not going to get a response from most people. And if you don't apply enough, you're not going to. So that's a basic top of funnel criteria, right? You have to apply aggressively. The
Yeah.
other thing is, I have seen, being part of Slingshot, now I've seen teenagers make better resumes than college freshers. I don't know why that's the case. Slingshot, we do good. Do a decently good job at instructing students that, hey, this is what we're looking for, and this is what likely people will look for. I think it's very important for you to take your resume and get it reviewed by somebody who has landed a job and has been in industry for a while, a friend of a friend who might be a recruiter, anybody who's been in the space for a while, because it might be super biased to think about or unfair to think about. When I see a resume, even if it's badly formatted, there will be a natural bias in my head that this person did not take the time even to follow proper industry standards to
Okay.
make this readable enough, accessible enough. This guy's just wasting, or this girl is just wasting my time. Right? If you already lose the battle, then a company's looking at that point. Then a company's looking at 1,000 applications. And it's very easy for them to skim over. If you know how to create a good resume and somebody has taught you to create a good resume, that will increase your chances of being able to mention your skills properly. Basic things of making your resume lines not more than one line, using action words, being objective, using metrics to measure your results. Uh, I can't give a resume class in the short time we have, but definitely happy to. If you need help, any of you, email me. I can drop my email later on. But that's the second top of the funnel. And at the end of the day, personally, I don't care about which college you went to, um, or what you got a degree in. The first thing I look in resumes is how rich your GitHub is, what kind of projects you've done, what the impact of those projects have been. Because at least the way I will interview a candidate will be much more about, hey, show me what you can do, rather what name tag you have on your resume. That might not be true for many other companies. It's also a factor of which college you've gone to, and certain companies optimizing their resume screening algorithms to check for only certain resumes. But today, there's enough startups, and startups hire in this manner only because we don't get talent at all. We want to optimize for people who have done serious projects, who know how to present their projects, and know their stuff. Like, I don't care what degree you've gotten. If you know your basics well, you've done cool stuff, make that explicit, show me through numbers, make it objective, and you'll increase your chances of getting placed on a job. If you didn't get a job, and I mean, the worst thing you can do is just say, I didn't get a job, right? What you have to do is talk to people, reapply again, and keep trying. Everybody gets a job one day or the other. If you keep trying.
Yep, definitely. Thanks for the perspective. I think we can wrap up this session. I'd like to call Mehak on whatever. Yeah, Amin.
Thank you very much, Ayush and Akshat, for a wonderful session. It was really great to have you here. I really hope that this session is insightful for everyone who is actually viewing the session. So thanks again.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mac.
Mehak.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Bye.